In an earlier videotape, you learned that the primary role of a security officer is to detect, deter, and report possible threats to property and people. Detect means to actively observe. Deter means to prevent from happening. And report means to notify someone. But what exactly are security officers supposed to detect, deter, and report? Why is stringent security so important to our clients? The answer is loss prevention. The duties of nearly every security officer, in one way or another, involve preventing losses due to theft, accidents, attacks, or other security incidents. Losses cost U.S. businesses billions of dollars each year. Our clients know that it is preferable and more cost-effective to prevent losses than to deal with the aftermath of security breaches. In this video, we'll discuss various ways that security officers are actively engaged in protecting a client's assets and employees. One loss prevention technique used by most clients is access control. By access control, we mean making sure that people seeking to enter or exit an area, as well as their vehicles and property in their possession, are properly authorized. Post orders must always be followed to ensure that access control procedures are effective and consistent. Access control is often a critical part of a security officer's duties because of the potential loss, damage, or harm that results from incidents involving theft, vandalism, or personal attacks. Effective access control makes such incidents less likely and more difficult to commit. Formal access control procedures involve identification cards carried by each person who is authorized to enter and exit a facility or area. Always follow post orders to ensure that you're performing access control tasks properly. This may sound obvious, but access control procedures can vary from client to client and even in different areas of the same facility. Your primary objective is to match the person with the ID. If a photo identification card is used, look closely at the photo and at the person to be sure they match and be sure the ID is valid. One of the keys to meeting this requirement is not allowing people to quickly flash their ID cards as they pass by. People often are in a hurry and allow only a brief glimpse of the card. If you cannot properly view the card, ask the card holder, "May I please see your card again?" Or, "I need a better view of your card, please." Always be courteous, but make sure you have time to verify that the ID matches the person carrying it. If a person needs to remove the identification card from his or her wallet or carrying case, wait until the person removes the ID and shows it to you. Never touch or handle personal belongings of others. Even if you recognize the person approaching you, never allow access to anyone who does not have a valid ID. A person may have quit or been terminated from the company without security being notified, making it improper to allow access to the facility. Controlling the flow of people can help the client and you maintain proper access control. If you observe people entering in groups or holding the door open for others, you should do two things. First, ask to see the IDs of everyone who did not use cards for entry. Second, at the appropriate time, contact your supervisor, who will work with the client contact to resolve the problem. Again, remember to be courteous. Always say thank you after a person shows you his or her ID. In addition to controlling access of people, you may be required to control access of property, items being brought into or taken out of the facility or area. These items may include packages carried by individuals or delivered by a service company, personal items, or the client's company-owned materials, such as office equipment, raw materials, manufactured items, and more. All of these items are considered property that must be identified and controlled to prevent theft and to ensure that dangerous or harmful items do not enter the workplace. Even though procedures for property control may vary, here are some general procedures to follow. First, always follow post orders. Second, verify any property removed from a location using written authorization. Many clients use a form for this, called a property pass. Third, identify the person removing the property. If you don't know the person listed on the property pass, ask for identification. Fourth, if the property pass does not contain adequate information, call for assistance. Your post orders will include instructions about who to call. Finally, do not use force to restrict removal of property under any circumstances. If the person insists on leaving with the property and without proper authorization, immediately notify the client and your supervisor. Note it in your daily report and complete an incident report. The client will use the incident report as the basis for further action. Procedures for controlling access of property being brought into a facility are similar. Again, be sure to follow post orders, which may vary from site to site. If an unidentified package or other items are left at your post, do not touch them. Immediately follow post orders for calling the client contact and your supervisor. Remember, people may be in a hurry or unfamiliar with access control procedures. Always be courteous, professional, and in control. People will appreciate your ability to assist them with their packages and property. We've already mentioned that you should never use force to prevent property from being removed from a client facility. Let's look more closely at our policy on the use of force in other situations. Remember, a security officer does not have the authority of a police officer. Your role is to detect, deter, and report. But that doesn't mean you can't be effective in controlling access of people and property. A security officer can deter improper behavior simply by demonstrating competence and a professional demeanor. A security officer in a neat, clean, and proper uniform presents an image of professionalism, authority, and control. Likewise, a security officer who speaks clearly and calmly while giving instructions to a person behaving inappropriately is more likely to be obeyed. What should you do if you are personally threatened? When faced with a clear and immediate threat of bodily harm, security officers should first attempt to retreat with the people present to a secure position. Physical force should be used only as a last resort, when clearly necessary to protect yourself and others from an immediate threat of bodily harm. Even then, use force only to the degree necessary to repel an attack or the threat of an attack. Call the police for assistance in the event of such a threat or attack, as directed by your post orders, and call the client contact and your supervisor as soon as possible. Record all incidents in your daily report and complete an incident report. Then, review your post orders to determine if any additional actions are required. An important way that security officers control access and maintain a security presence is by conducting patrols or security tours of a facility. Your post orders will contain the time, locations, and specific details of all patrols or tours required by the client. Security officers conducting a tour or patrol walk or travel through areas of a client's property and buildings to observe conditions or activities taking place. The purpose is to detect, deter, and report anything that is unusual or not as it should be. Security tours are conducted to support fire and accident prevention, to detect security breaches, and to ensure that machinery is operating correctly. On your daily report is a checklist of several items that are frequently noticed during security tours. Carrying your daily report during your tour allows you to quickly note those security issues as you see them. An important task for a security officer is to help prevent fires by looking for and reporting fire hazards. Typical fire hazards to watch out for include stacks of empty cartons, piles of oily rags, uncapped or leaking containers, faulty electrical wiring, overloaded electrical fixtures or outlets, smoldering cigarettes in wastebaskets or ashtrays, empty or improperly maintained fire extinguishers, improperly maintained fire hoses or leaking standpipes, and blocked doors and emergency exits. In addition to these potential fire hazards, always use your senses to detect smoke or heat that may signal the beginning of a fire. Be alert for unusual odors, vapors, or smoke in the air. Any conditions that could develop into a fire should be reported to the client contact and your supervisor, noted in your daily report, and documented in an incident report. If you think the fire threat is immediate, take action according to your post orders and call the fire department. Accident prevention is another key part of a security officer's job. Identifying potential accident situations helps protect everyone in the facility. When conducting a tour, look for spilled liquids, loose boards or flooring, damaged carpeting, loose or missing handrails, objects that could fall from above, burned out lights or exit signs. You should also mark and report any situations where products or equipment are blocking walkways or required patrol routes. All safety hazards should be marked and noted in your report. Procedures for marking off wet floors and other safety hazards are important for safety and liability reasons. Be sure to reference your post orders about this and call for assistance if the procedures are not clear. Report hazards as per your post order instructions as soon as possible. Entries in the daily report, as well as an incident report, should be completed for all safety-related situations. Breaches of security also must be dealt with professionally and decisively. A breach of security occurs when a requirement or duty is not followed, or when a break or opening occurs in a security procedure or system. As a security officer on patrol, you are expected to be the first line of defense against breaches in security. Security breaches include broken, tampered with, or sounded alarms, locks that do not work or are found to be unlocked when they shouldn't be, lost keys, which could be found by anyone and used for unauthorized entry, broken doors, fences, or windows, evidence of unauthorized people being on the property or in areas where they are not allowed. Quick action is essential when responding to security breaches. They should be reported immediately in accordance with post orders, and entries noting times, locations, and circumstances should be made in your daily report. A separate incident report should be completed for all security breaches. If the security breach involves an unidentified person, use extreme caution. Never search for an intruder alone. Instead, immediately notify your supervisor and the police and follow your post orders. Unidentified persons, once encountered, often claim to be employees of the client company. In many cases, this is true. They are employees working in the facility after normal hours, and the security department was not notified. In other cases, the unidentified person may be an intruder. The best way to handle that type of situation is to be courteous, professional, and in control. And be careful. Ask for identification and explain that you are required to know who is on the property. This will allow persons who are really employees the opportunity to identify themselves, and you'll be in control of the situation. On the other hand, if the unknown person refuses to cooperate, or if at any time you feel that your personal safety is at risk, quickly retreat to a safe place and call for assistance. Control of machinery is an aspect of security that is not discussed as frequently as fire and safety prevention, but is very important to many clients. Your post may be at a site where machinery or specialized equipment is operated. This could include manufacturing or research locations where auto parts are manufactured or high-tech computer equipment is assembled. The machinery and equipment must be protected from loss, damage, or misuse. In addition, security assignments sometimes include duties in which certain machines or pieces of equipment need to be monitored, checked, recorded, or turned on and off by a security officer. If this is part of your assignment, you'll be given specific instructions to follow and will be trained in the procedures involved. The key point to remember is not to touch, turn on, or turn off any machinery or equipment at your work site unless you have been trained and are specifically required by your post orders to do so. Finally, let's discuss the security of office equipment. Nearly every business office is equipped with a computer, telephone, and various other electronic devices. Never touch or use office equipment that is not specifically provided for security officers. Do not use client telephones to make personal calls. Your post orders will include instructions about making calls in case of emergencies. If you think any equipment should be turned off, contact the person listed in your post orders. Don't turn off the equipment or device without instructions to do so. When on a security patrol or tour, you should carry these items. First, take your daily report and a small pocket-sized notebook with you. It's sometimes difficult to remember everything of significance if a security incident occurs. The notebook will enable you to jot down information you may need later. Second, be sure to carry a pen with you on every tour. Third, some locations may make flashlights available to security officers. If so, take them with you during all tours, day and night. The reasons for carrying a flashlight at night are obvious, but even during the day, electrical power may fail, or you may need to look down dark hallways or read gauges on machinery. Always be certain that your flashlight is in good working order at the beginning of your tour. Patrols at some job sites may require more sophisticated equipment, such as two-way radios or information recording devices. You'll receive the training necessary to use any radio equipment on your post. Before beginning a tour, remember to check that the radio is working and the battery is fully charged. At many of our client locations, various recording devices are used during security tours. One such device is an electronic system developed by our company called TOCO, short for Tour Confirmation. TOCO uses a small, handheld wand which looks similar to a flashlight and metal-cased computer chips. TOCO electronically confirms your tours and notes reportable incidents and conditions that you discover while on tour. We have now covered the basic loss prevention techniques used by security officers. By following these guidelines and procedures for effective access control of people and property, fire and accident prevention, control of machinery and security tours, you'll show your competence and professionalism as a security officer. You'll be able to remain calm and in control of the situation because you'll know the appropriate action to take.